Welcome, wonderful souls, to the Lightness of Being podcast. I'm Monica Stefanik, your guide for a deep dive into a world where magic, reality, and divine love intersect. So take a deep breath, settle in, and let's begin. Welcome, beautiful beings, to this first episode of the whole new season. And I have my incredible friend, Brady Brewer. I love that your name is just, it rolls off the tongue. It's great.
It goes.
It goes really well. Vibrational alchemist is what you shared about yourself when I listened to your recording of what you do. So do you want to share a little bit about you and who you are?
Yeah. So vibrational alchemy, right? Like sound alchemy. Along my path, which has been filled with so much change and just transition after transition after transition, lots of in-betweens. Like music has been a constant. Music has been something that has really just woven its way through all of my experiences the whole way. And so it created a sense of connection that was a mainstay while I lacked connection everywhere else. So as I've matured and, really come into the gift with music, which I would say activated in 2015, like I started hearing deeper messages through the music that I was listening to and recognizing the reflection of my own life in it. So like the vibrational alchemy, it has as much to do with sound as it does emotion, because emotion also carries vibration. Like lower emotion is a lower vibrational frequency. Higher emotion is a higher vibrational frequency. And if you think about how music makes you feel, which music doesn't really make us feel anything, we choose to feel the way that we want to feel, which is kind of how we relate with ourselves through music, whether we're aware of it or not. Music, there's low frequency music, lower vibrational frequency music, and higher vibrational frequency music. And so like through my life experience and through the evolution of being myself, I've brought my awareness of how music reflects me back to me to other people to help them reflect themselves back to themselves. In a time where we might prefer not to look out and see, at a time where we might prefer to just close our eyes and be with what we want to feel better on the inside, which music also helps us do. And so, there's a lot of nuance and a lot of really interesting complexity to it, but that's, my name is Brady. There's a reason my friends in the past have called me the spiritual DJ, and I'm really excited to drop into some vibrational alchemy with you today.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
The work that you are offering this world is honestly, truly, really unique. Like I haven't heard of anything like it out there, and it's so beautiful because it brings in that reflection of you truly just like honoring who you are in this world and what through your lived experience is now ready to be birthed through you, and how that gets to be a contribution to the collective. So thank you so much for doing the work and doing the journey that you've been on, because as for all of us, I know it's not always been easeful. And just continuing to show up to that space so that we can be here today, so that you can be here in this iteration of who you are and where you are, and offering what you are for people, because it's so important. And I'm super excited to talk about it.
Unravel
all that is.
It's like you really caught, like something rose inside of me. Like we're doing vibrational alchemy in conversation. Like it's not, I like to say that it's about the music, and it's not about the music, because all sound around us is music. We could call it music. And so, you're using your voice. You're not singing a song and you're playing an instrument.
Yeah.
Like your voice is the instrument. And so just in conversation, like I will resonate with something and then I will see and I'll feel and experience. And then there's this natural unfolding from there. So like as you were saying, thank you for honoring yourself. It's for me, like there's it's such this like delicate like multiplicity, because to honor the gift that my soul has to bring to the world, I have to honor my experience of being in the world. And because without doing that, like there is no space for the gift of my soul to come in and to come through, because the density is blocking it from entering. So like there's such a deep recognition, like in a self-recognition, that's really the centerpiece of all of it.
Mm.
And I think that's the centerpiece, whether whether it's me doing the work that I do with music and vibrational or emotional alchemy, the work that you do with the medicine that you provide, the medicine work, if that's plant medicine, like there is a deep self-recognition that is centerpiece, you know, of our personal and collective evolution that's really being called for.
Mhm.
And so all that to say, it's just like it is the self-honoring, the self-recognition. Like, thank you for honoring yourself. Thank you for honoring yourself, because the platform that you're building for people like me,
Mm.
leaders, facilitators, and otherwise, like to the listener, like thank you for honoring yourself. I mean, it's such a beautiful, like resonant carrier wave, you
Yeah.
know. Self-honoring and self-recognition is the path. It's the way.
Mhm.
It's the way of the way.
Yes. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
I love getting to talk to you. I'm just like my whole world expands every I'm like getting shivers like while you're speaking. I'm like, yes. Yes
Yeah,
to all of that.
totally.
Yeah, I mean it's that space of like, we get to what were you just saying about how like your soul doesn't get to shine through unless you did honor your whole entire path, and that means honoring the depth of the darkness that
Right.
we've been through as an individual, whatever that has looked like throughout childhood into adulthood, as well as like being yeah, just being so grateful for that, and not from a span like, there's a period of time where I think we all fall victim to our past and to what we've been through, which I feel like is definitely a part of the path, because like if we don't go into that victimhood state, we're not aware of what it is like to be in that frequency, and then to navigate our way out of that frequency, whether it's through music or other tools or whatever it has been, which music's been a huge tool for me as well. And it's through like really honoring and acknowledging that, not from a space of victimhood, but from a space of deep gratitude, because it's like we would not be the beings that we are right now without whatever it is that we've gone through. And
Mhm.
some people have it a little bit more challenging. Some people, it may seem like they have it more easy, but you don't truly know someone's full experience unless you really sit down and hold space and have a conversation with them. Because I mean, we're all carrying generational stuff, and the way that that manifests in this life is vastly different. And so I think it's just so important to, no matter where you're at in that journey. And like, I know there's moments where it's like, because I've been there too, where it's really difficult to be grateful for the pain that you've experienced, because
Mm.
you're like, how in the world can I actually be grateful for like what I've gone through, or like what people have done to me, right? It's
Mhm.
opposed to seeing it as like, oh, this was showing up in my life for me so that I could grow through this experience and come out on the other side of it as a more evolved version of myself, so that I can show up, and through that pain we get to lead. We get to help others through, which is like, why we can do the work that we do, is because we've been in those spaces. We know that terrain, we know that realm. So now we can help navigate people through that similar terrain, through the gifts and the tools that have dramatically helped us And that's such a gift. And that can literally only happen if you've gone through it and come out the other side and from a space of deep authenticity of like, yeah, I fucking been there. And I can also be super fucking grateful for that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And also acknowledge that it's hard because, like, yeah, it's fucking hard. Life is difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. I had this experience once where like I was realizing something about myself and about my life. And I started saying thank you. And the first time I said thank you, I started crying. The second time I said thank you, I started sobbing. And then the third time I said thank you, it was kind of like that ugly cry where I'm like running out of breath. And I just like kept saying thank you until I was done. And then, and then came out the other side. And there really is, it's like there are a lot of reasons to not look back and to not look within.
Yeah.
And there are more reasons to look back and to look within. And I also think like
that's where the alchemy is.
That's where the alchemy happens. And it also happens in, once you've looked back and looked within, looking ahead a little bit. Especially for those of us that are co-creating our lives and those of us that are really like architecting like a life that is for our highest good and highest good of all. Like I've gotten in trouble, where I've focused so much inside and behind me in the past without returning to the future that I've looped in the past.
Same.
And I've looped in the past in the present. And so there really is this like natural learning. There is the diving. And if you want to fly, like you also got to leave the ground, shift focus from the inside back to the outside and from the past to tomorrow, to next week, to next month. I think we can also get in trouble when we're like kind of looking 5-10 years ahead. That's important because we live in a realm where people are thinking 50 years ahead. And like, if we can really shift our focus back to those small steps, big steps, being present, moving forward, it becomes this really beautiful dance, this weave through time, because inevitably, even if you are, focused forward and focused ahead, you're going to get to where you're going. And then you're going to come up against a wall or a block or a fear or this or that. And you're going to have to go back within and back in time again. But it is just this really interesting.
From a space of presence and like with a vision for the future of where you're looking to go, but not too much in either direction and staying so deeply fully present within the experience of what you're having right now.
And that's the honoring the soul.
Yeah.
That's the honoring of like the part of you that really needs more from you. It's that's the part where it's like there's the honoring itself from the past, and then there's the honoring the self within, above, and ahead.
Yeah. I love that so much. This is a great little segue because I was just thinking as I was listening to your masterclass, what's so special about what Brady and I are doing here is this is actually part one of a 2-part episode experience. So in a week, we're going to record again.
Yeah.
And what's happening is this gets to be a first little introduction to Brady's work to put this out into the world. And then I think in like 2 or 3 days, I'm going to sit down with you in a non-recorded space and I'm going to do a session with you. And you're going to take me through the whole experience. And then a little bit after that, we're going to record and talk about my experience and just what it was to like work with you. And so I'm really excited to do that. And the reason that I'm thinking about that right now is because I was contemplating the songs that I've been listening to recently. And so as we're like talking about presence, actually a lot of the music that I've been listening to, there's a song that's literally called Thank God. And there's just like a lot of the music, which is really beautiful, is about the main theme is like coming back into this moment and just like being really, really present to continuously remind me to like say thank you and to just be here right now. And I'm really excited to share with you what those songs are. But it's going to be great. And just that constant reminder of like right here, right now is the most important place to be. And those 2 simple words like thank you, so simple and so powerful. And if there's like anything that you do at any point in your everyday, if you can just say thank you, even if it's for the food that's in front of you for a moment, like it starts to build and build and build and completely shift how you approach the world around you and your own inner landscape.
Big time. Yeah, big time. I'm curious. So a part of this work with North Star Sanctuary and vibrational alchemy, it is having the presence enough to recognize what you're experiencing
Mm.
and to recognize like what's happening in reality and to notice the experience that you're having of yourself within it. And then kind of piecing together like how what's happening in reality is a mirror of you and a mirror of experiences that you've had before. And so I'm curious, like with Thank God, like what have you moved through recently for that song to be what's in such resonance right now?
Mm. Honestly, the last couple of years, so I turned 31 this last December, and so I'm, like, kind of officially out of my Saturn return, and my Saturn return was really.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It was a
Thank you.
it was a motherfucker.
It was a motherfucker for me too. And that's why I'm like, "Oh my god." But yeah, through that, the last couple of years, but especially I would say, I don't know, the last, like, year and a half, there's been this through relationships, whether they're like friendships or romantic, or and also through um, being an entrepreneur and creating and cultivating a business, continuously showing up to those spaces has brought me to my knees in ways where there's like the mechanisms of control and anxiety and like all of these old ways of how my body was reacting because of how I was grew up as a child and stuff, the
Mm,
stuff that I learned, like so much of that has been brought to the surface so incredibly dramatically to the point where it's like I am on my knees, just there's nothing else but like thank God, or like praying, just like sitting in front of the altar that I create and just like being, I'm like, I'm so in it. There's nothing else for me to do. Like even some of the tools that I used to use, whether it was like music or yoga, like weren't the tool that I needed at that point in time. And so the thing that I have come back to is meditation and prayer and just being there and being like, thank you, and being and recultivating my connection to spirit and rewiring what the word God means growing up in like, pretty religious
yeah.
background. And so like even getting that to shift to be to a point where I can listen to a song that's like not related to any religion, but it's literally just titled Thank God, and let that so deeply resonate through my being and just have so much um gratitude for my connection to spirit and getting to cultivate that relationship. But the only way that that has happened is through everything else shifting out. Like there's been nothing else that I could go to besides prayer and just saying thank you and
Mm,
being so grateful. And those moments have looked horrific, and also like I'm so grateful for them because I'm where I'm at right now, and I also have been able to build up that tool. So it's like when I'm going through a challenging time, I'm like, okay, I know exactly what I need to do,
mhm.
which is to just get down and pray.
Was that happening inside of the experience? Like I imagine it was, but
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Were you thanking God for like on the other side of the experience, or were you thanking God inside of it?
It started on the other side of the experience because when you're in it, it's so difficult to be in it
Mhm,
and say thank you. And
mhm,
honestly, over the last maybe since February was one of the first times I had the experience of being in something and being at my altar and meditating and feeling so held by my like just needing support and feeling so held by my angels and my guides that I was like so deeply in this emotional experience, and I was like literally feeling their support. I could feel them like touching me and like holding my shoulders and holding my back, and I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. And then um in the plant like plant ceremony experience that was like the most intense experience I've ever been through. I don't want to say intense, just like potent plant medicine ceremony that I've ever sat with before. There's no space for control. There's no space for forcing or pushing or resisting against anything. And so, even as I'm in a space of like deeply witnessing some of my trauma or deeply purging, like literally, there was a moment where I was like fully throwing up into a bucket. And like the only thought that was coming through was thank you, because I knew through that experience that if I like tried to resist it or tried to ask for that to not happen, that just more of that was going to continue. And so I was like, the only thing that I know to do right now is say thank you. And every single time that I did, everything lightened up.
Mm.
And so I also know that like, but that has built up, and I'm so grateful to have like been through those experiences to be in a space where I'm like, okay, even though like I'm deeply in it now, I can also say thank you. And so now I have that experience where it's like that just comes in and I can say thank you while I'm in it. But it's definitely taken time I had to have the moments of being so deep in the shit and just let that be what it is. And then on the other side, having time to reflect and meditate on it and then have the gratitude. And so now it's integrated into the experience.
Yeah.
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 So how old are you right now?
31?
31?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you had something similar?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So as you're saying that, and just to recap a little bit, right? Like you opened up by sharing over the last 2 years, you've really been transforming inside of relationship and inside of entrepreneurship.
Hmm.
And as you were moving through that transformation, you encountered experiences that brought you to your knees, were really challenging. The only place that you could go to find any sort of peace or uh, guidance was prayer.
Hmm.
And prayer is presence.
Hmm.
It's really just like recognizing the storm around you and then just sitting down in the eye of it
Sitting in it.
and then just allowing what is happening inside of you to happen. And and so as you were talking, like I was like I've had a similar experience where like once I chose, like, and then I started changing, things were happening. So like it brought me to 2018, um, which would have been 7 years ago. So I was also 31.
Hmm.
And like my 30s were my 30-year-old birthday. I'm not saying that right. My 30th birthday.
We have brains.
My
Those work
30th
sometimes.
birthday, I was actually engaged to be married.
Mm.
And that relationship didn't work out. And on my 31st birthday, I was at the Lake of the Ozarks with friends and family, and I ended up getting very drunk.
Mm.
And then I started having this grieving process. And the grieving process was for my relationship with my mom. And it was inside of that pocket of time that I realized like the part of me that created the relationship with my former fiance so that I could realize what I realized about
Mm.
about how I was creating relationship and co-creating reality from a wounded place, it without being aware of it. And so 2018, like I started doing deeper work, and because it was too much to hold by myself. So like I hired my first coach, and I started describing what I was going through, and I started then paying attention to like where my energy was going and who I was being. And it was the second time that I like pulled my energy back from reality. And like for me, I pulled my energy back from about like 40 people. I actually wrote down a list of all of the people that I was relating with, all of the people that I was checking in with, all of the people that I was trying to make plans with and like relate with, have relationships with,
Whoa.
all the people that I was invested in. And then I like purposefully and intentionally stopped doing that. And then I realized how little energy I was receiving from others and from my relationships and from life and from reality. And that's when a new kind of work began. Because, it's like I recognized who I was being and I recognized where my choices were coming from. I started recognizing the life that I'd created from those choices and from that state of being. And then I started changing who I was being, which changed my life. Like it changed the architecture of my life and the architecture of my relationships. And so as you were speaking, I was just remembering what it was like to just pull my energy out of those relationships and to choose to start being somebody else or to choose to start being differently first with myself and the state of like I could say there was an intentional isolation because I did pull back. Um, we could even go from isolation to like aloneness
But like a self-preservation.
and a self-preservation.
Yeah.
Exactly this. And I think this is a part of what is unexpected about choosing this path because like that was before I knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. That was before like I really understood how to translate my gift. So I was in my gift with myself. I was learning about it through my own life experience. And like so life started asking things from me and a part of that and like life, right? Life, God, soul, whatever. Like my evolution started asking me to make changes in order to end the chaos and end the pain that I was creating for myself and for other people, right? Because when I'm co-creating life from a wounded place, like I'm wounding myself and the other person's encountering wounding as well. And that's why we met, so that we could engage the work. And by the way, like last year, I had a conversation with my former fiance for the first time in like since it happened.
Wow.
So like 5 to 7 years. Um, and we got to do a little bit of that work together, which was powerful. But the point is, it's like once I found myself in that state of aloneness and isolation, we could call it preservation. Um, like it really was like a come to God moment. And there were times where like I could only realize that pain on the other side of the experiences. And then I could say thank you, which took me a little deeper, a little deeper into the grief and the sadness and just the the deep knowing of my like a deeper knowing of the life that I had lived for me to be the kind of person that I was being.
Well, once you say thank you and you can have gratitude, then you see it from a totally different perspective.
Exactly. That's really where you shift from
Just being
victim
in the pain.
to not even savior, because it's like
No, like just
victim, savior,
empowered.
perpetrator.
Empowered through your experience.
Yeah, I think you drop out of that triangle altogether. Like once you're able to say thank you, you're no longer the perpetrator, you're no longer the savior, you're no longer the victim. You just are. And from that place of like pure beingness, like this podcast is called The Lightness of Being. Like when you drop out of that dynamic, like now you have an opportunity to like create something completely new, completely different with agency, with at least some semblance of sovereignty, right? Because you're no longer, or like for me, like
identifying with the pain of your past.
exactly. And you're also no longer identifying with the identity that you were holding. So you're no longer relating with life through the eyes of the version of you that was. Now you're relating with life through the eyes of the version of you that you are on the other side of that, that has a set of choices that you've never had before, that has agency that you've never had before, that has opportunities that you've never had before. But the kind kind of the paradox is that these are choices, agencies, and opportunities that you had the whole time. It's just like a little shift of perception. And sometimes these little shifts are just gargantuan beasts of a process, you know.
Something that's coming up as you're speaking that's so important is that space of like, number one, you said you reached a point where you're like, I can't hold this all alone. Like, I needed to
Mhm.
ask for help. And so, like, and that's where, people like you and me and other healers in so many different realms come into play because that's something I've had a hard time with is like reaching out and asking for help. And like, I feel, I don't know, I've navigated a lot of these realms on my own just because of that wound of needing to ask for help. And so, like, this is just an encouragement for anyone listening that it's like, it's so incredibly important to reach out and ask for help, whether it's from a coach or a therapist or whatever that looks like. And as you're saying that, right, like it's these little shifts in perceptions that, like you said, can be huge and gargantuan. And like there are some of us that have like enough resilience to possibly be able to navigate that terrain on our own, but like most people can't. I shouldn't say can't, but just have a challenging time even doing that because that the piece of that, our identity, your
Right.
identity is locked into that state of being. And so, like, even what I've encountered in my work, as I'm sure you have as well, is like there's this, I get people coming in that really want change in their life. And yet, in order to choose that change, there's an acknowledgement of I'm identifying with this part of me that has pain and I'm ready to release that pain, but not just speaking that I'm ready to release that pain, actually starting to step into the work
Mhm.
and continuing on the path of that work to release that pain. And what I encounter is sometimes people start, but then they get in their own way because it's like, oh, if I actually release that pain and get to the peace that I'm looking for, then that part of me dies. And you don't know there's like a fear of the unknown, and this is like the process that I went through is like there's a fear of the unknown of like who am I if I'm not the person that's in pain, whether it's physical pain, emotional pain, like whatever it is, right? And so it's like it's easier in a way, it's more complacent. We're taught to be very complacent to just stick with the pain in whatever way that it is because it's so locked in with our identity, even though we're asking for peace, even though we're asking for more ease and expansion and whatever it is in our lives. It's like, okay, but you also have to let parts of you die off.
Right.
And that a lot of times means letting relationships die off and like maybe moving across the country or whatever that looks. And it's like, well, can you allow that to be a part of the path and staying so deeply present with whatever is meant to be here for you? And like, and it's so important to grieve those things. And it's so important to just like let yourself ugly cry and like let that move through. And then on the other side of that, be like, okay, now what do I get to choose? And so just through that process, knowing that we have help and have people like you doing what you do to
Mhm.
help people through that process. And it's like there is an agency of like, yes, there's points where it's like, of course you have to do things on your own.
Mhm.
And we have people like you and me that are doing the work that we're doing in the world to be guides on the path. I'm not here to heal you. I can't heal you. You can't heal anyone. It's like you are your own healer. And so stepping into that space, it's like we just get to be there as guides of like, hey, I can hold your hand while we walk down the path and I can be like, hey, you're doing great. You're doing awesome. Let me offer you a tool. But like your ability to show up and choose that tool is completely on the individual
Mhm.
to show up to that space. And so it's so beautiful and also so challenging and yet so amazing that we have people that have like lived through what they've lived through and showing up in their unique gifts to offer what they offer to the world to actually help guide people along their own unique path in the way that works for them and meeting
Totally.
them where they're at.
Totally. Like oftentimes what's also really unique about this vocational path of bringing our gift to the world to be of service to evolution in a way that is useful for us. It's like a win-win-win, right? Like
Mhm.
the client wins, the person wins, the community wins, and so do I,
Mhm.
right? So it's this really win-win-win. It's a beautiful ecosystem.
It's really
Yeah.
deep stuff
Yeah.
to show up to that space, like acknowledging that like what we're here to offer is not just a, oh, hey, come with me on this journey. It's like truly acknowledging what we were talking about before we started recording, the courage
Mhm.
of the path to like show up to whatever your unique individual work is, and to like what courage and bravery means for you is going to be different than what it means for anyone else, and like showing up to that inner landscape in whatever way you choose to do it is fucking phenomenal. And
Right.
so just like acknowledging yourself, acknowledging your friends, acknowledging each other, of just like, okay, I'm showing up to this. And like, even though it on the outside, right, because we're taught like a lot of our output is where our value lies, and it's like when you're doing inner work, it's not always seen as drastically as, if you're like a content creator on social media and you're creating all this content. I don't know, that's like the first thing that came up, but it's like the work that you are doing on the inside is shifting things deeply for yourself and on a collective level, and it is so incredibly important, and it's so deeply courageous. It's like it's the bravest thing that we can do, is actually show up to your inner landscape
Yeah.
and
Sit.
look at your pain and look at your past and look at those patterns.
Let's go deeper into that. Like, what
Okay.
is courageous about that?
Hello, beloved beings. I hope you're enjoying this conversation. I wanted to drop in really quick and let you know about this amazing community that I have been a part of and that has transformed the trajectory of my life over the last few years in magnificent ways. Back in 2023, I chose to partner with a 52-year-old Japanese company to be a part of a massive movement to change regular tap water into pure, healthy, electrolyzed, reduced, and hydrogen-rich drinking water. We are helping to create a new paradigm for living on this planet and pledge to realize a revolution in true health in the form of economic health, physical health, and mental health. If this sounds like your jam, please let me share the vision with you. There is a link in the show notes to sign up for my email list. I'll gift you a free ebook, and we'll get started from there. How does it get better than that? Now, let's get back to the conversation. For me, the courage in that is like actually truly facing yourself. Like really, 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 I'm looking in a mirror right now. Like really
Yeah.
looking in a mirror, which is like such a beautiful practice and people have done this at ecstatic dance altars that they've created, where there's honestly almost nothing else on the altar but a mirror. And it's like, hey, can you just really look at yourself? Can you just really look at yourself and maybe say, I love you, even if you don't love yourself, or stand in front of the mirror naked and look at your body and be like, hey, body, I love you so much. And like, look at those pieces and parts. Like, what's so courageous is like you're looking at the ugly, painful things, whether it's physical, whether it's emotional, and giving it, not even nurturing it, but actually acknowledging it. Like, there's something in the space of truly deeply just acknowledging what's there that most of the time allows for a shift. You don't really always have to do anything about it, but most of the time, the stuff that is coming up emotionally or physically or whatever it is just like, it's like a child that's crying. It's like sometimes they don't always need something, but a lot of times they're just like, I'm crying, like, acknowledge me. And you touch it and you hold it, and they're like, okay,
And
I'm
sometimes,
good.
sometimes you pick up the child, hold the child, and they just need to keep.
Yeah. And they just need to keep
They
crying.
just need a safe containment for what's happening to happen.
Yeah. And so and the courage in that is like, okay, can you just hold yourself
Mhm.
and whatever's coming up and just be really present? And it's so hard to do that
Mhm.
sometimes. Like, and I've been through like physically painful experiences, and the the realms that I've navigated internally of facing that inner landscape have been so much more challenging than any physical pain that I've ever been through, and I've been through some traumatic physical things.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's courageous.
Right.
Yeah.
Going back in and looking at those traumatic things, those painful things, going back in and like realizing and seeing the impact that that's had.
Mhm.
Like,
Not from a victim state, but from an
no, just a
empowered.
total, just pure observer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's important to state too, like when we are having an experience of what we've been through, like we aren't automatically victims of what we've
No.
been through. We are just being the, what I love about presencing oneself, with God from the eye of the storm, like really sitting down in the shit and just closing your eyes and being with shit. Is that it gives you the opportunity to really experience what might be divine love from a mother, from a father. Because for me, right, so like I'm the kind of person who, when I was, 8, 12 months old, my mom decided to tell my dad that I wasn't his son, and then eventually asked him to leave within my first year of life.
Whoa.
Like asked him to leave because he was making choices that caused her to not trust him.
Mhm.
And that's what she had to do, was tell him ultimately that I wasn't his, so that she could get us, myself, and my brother, out of what was happening. And then 3 years of life go on, and I imagine my grandparents were co-parenting. I'm not really sure what was happening. That's a conversation I still like want to have with my mom. But then at 3 years old, she meets another man, and they end up getting married, and they have three more kids. And he worked in oil. His company was relocating him often. So we moved, you know, even beyond their divorce when I was 12, like my family moved 11 times before I was 16. And I went to 5 different high schools, and I was in a different high school every semester the first 2 years.
Oh my gosh.
And then I leave home and college happens. I go to community college and I go to university while my family continues to bop around and move around. So, like, I'm the kind of person that has a really nuanced and complex history. And for me, like, what really it was challenging to look back and like experience myself as an infant whose father disappeared. you know,
Yeah.
or to tune in with what it feels like in my body to have made and lost friends,
Mhm.
to become the kind of teenager who like just doesn't even care about forming friendships anymore.
Yeah. I was
Because
about to say that must have been really challenging to cultivate true connection if you're just
totally, yeah,
like an instability in that way.
right.
Yeah.
And eventually, like, there were experiences of just laying on my studio, like laying on the ground of my studio in Kansas City, like understanding, really understanding, and coming into a level of knowing and a level of awareness of, these experiences contributed to me becoming this type of person who contributed to my own pain and others' pain. And it was so big, like it was just so big,
Mhm.
like it's the kind of thing that like I would assert is a part of why people put off really getting on the path, like put off awakening,
Mm.
is because there's so much inside and on the surface and outside, like stimulating the surface. I like to look at us as, we're experiencing the surface of the ocean with access to what's happening under the surface of the ocean, which is just stillness.
Mhm.
Like it's just nothing is happening.
Right.
And when you can like be on the surface and in the waves and in the storms and in the chaos with access to what's happening below it, like what once you move through it, once you move through the pain, once you move through the fear of the pain and then experience it,
Mhm.
have that experience, all of a sudden, like it's like you can just breathe underwater. Like,
Mm.
because as you were describing, like the having the courage to go in, having the courage to look, having the courage to transform. Like it's the song Weightless by North Lane. It's weightless, my body floats in eternity. And I think that is also another kind of interesting and nuanced fear that we have is fear of the void.
Mhm.
And it's where where I've oftentimes been caught up, like I've been kind of stuck in the void where I've been in the in between for so long that I don't know when the fuck I'm going to get out of it or
Mhm.
what happens next, you know. And sometimes I have just found myself there. I'll just be living, moving through life, and then all of a sudden I'm nowhere, nobody, like I'm no thing.
Mhm.
It's just something feels empty and full at the same time. But to bring it back around to the courage to look and the courage to experience, it just, once I was able to really, really like look back and understand where I came from, which I never really did understand where I came from. Like it took me a long time to mature to a place where I could receive awareness of, wait a second, my mom told my dad I wasn't his.
Mm.
Like
Mhm.
that shifted from information to something I had permission to have feelings about.
Mhm.
And then, to really recognize like something I've always said is, yeah, I've moved around a lot. When people ask me where I'm from, it's actually a really uncomfortable question because it's like, well, I'm from the Midwest, like Oklahoma, Kansas, Illinois, Arizona.
Yeah.
Like I'm from a lot of places, and there's a lot of information, like a lot of emotional context that can be uncomfortable to go into.
Mm.
Um, but it's like, wait a minute, it shifts from something that you just say, like I moved around a
Yeah.
lot as a kid, to it's like, wait a second,
I
like I have feelings about moving around a lot as a
that
kid.
actually had like a profound impact
Like
on
I
my
understand the impact
experience.
that had on me now.
Yeah, and I get to allow myself to
Right.
feel what that feels like in my body
Hmm.
and use the tool of music primarily for you, it seems to help
Hmm.
navigate through those
Yeah.
feelings.
Hmm. And so it really is it is a deeply courageous act to recognize and notice and then turn in, feel and experience,
Mhm.
and then come out and have a new experience, which also requires new levels of courage
Yeah,
and new
because
levels of fear,
your whole life
which,
might change.
oh, yeah. And like courage and fear are the same thing.
Mhm.
Grief and gratitude are the same thing. Like in my experience, you cannot have one without the other.
Yeah,
Like they're like Batman and the Joker. Like
yeah.
they can't really exist without the
Mhm.
other.
I think actually physiologically in the body, fear and excitement are the same.
Yeah.
And so it's an interesting question to sit with when you're maybe sitting with the experience of fear and be like, well, am I afraid or am I actually excited?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
recognizing that everything comes from here in our very felt sense of our body. And so when we actually get to tune into and return to this thing, which is the most immaculate wisdom
oh
that we
man,
have.
the body is epic.
The body is epic, which yeah, it leads me into what you were saying in your master class about just like guiding people back to the body. Like I loved
Yeah.
what you said about that so much because I actually paused it when I heard you say that because like that's literally exactly what I also do in my work as well. And so I'd love to just hear you speak to that a little bit in
Mm,
your work and what you've experienced. And
totally.
yeah.
So like pulling on this like organizational principle of, for you, it's over the last couple of years, relationships and entrepreneurship have really transformed who you are. They've contributed to the transformation of who you are and who you're becoming. And, for me, that started in 2018. But a part of the work really is understanding what the body is experiencing as you move forward on your path. Because what the body, how the body responds to life provides you information. And so in the realm of entrepreneurship, like you mentioned, getting on social media, sharing your message, supporting people through content and offering value through that vehicle. Well, for me, like understanding that, okay, I'm the type of person that grew up this way. When I sit down to offer, to create content and offer it to the world, I felt blocked up by that. And it's like, okay, I noticed that there is a block in my voice, or there is fear around sharing my voice. Why is there fear around sharing my voice? And it's like, well, so for me to be the son of a man who wasn't my father, and then relate with my mom inside of the lie that she was telling, like I couldn't really connect with my own authentic voice. And so through the vehicle of entrepreneurship and creating content to offer value, I've learned a lot about the wounds that I've carried around just using my voice in an authentic way. Because if my mom is telling a story about me that's not true, then what does that mean about my ability to be just a child, just free in my childlike, you know, boisterousness? And if I'm the son of a man who is not my father, but I call him dad and he is my dad, but when I am myself, this is how I'm responded to, whatever that looked like, then I'm not safe. Like there's a thread of not safe to use my voice that's really like threaded throughout time, starting at 8 months old, starting at 3 years old, starting at, what was my relationship like with my grandparents or whoever was co-raising me between when my dad left at 8 to 12 months old and 3, when new man comes in and new family comes with him. So like, and then relationally, right? Why, what we can talk about like moving forward within ourselves relationally. Like we are always relating with ourselves. We're always relating with other people.
Everything around us.
Everything around us, in entrepreneurship, we are relating with what we could call the world, which I think sometimes isn't totally useful. Like maybe we should call it relating with the 100 people that are in our audience and the 30 people that listen.
Well, and you're also relating to money and all these other different as like
so
literally
many
everything.
things.
Literally everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like, so relationally, like what I've understood about myself through my body, if I'm having pain in my left ankle and knee, or if I am like a little achy in my right hip, like I'm not moving forward within myself, and I might be taking additional responsibility that's not mine. The way I'm being in the world and relating with life is generating discomfort in my body. So where is that discomfort at, and what is that informing me? So it's important to have like these mythopoetic maps. It's important to have these like bioenergetic maps.
Yeah, and get curious about what the physical body is
totally
sharing.
Yeah.
Louise Hay has a really amazing book that's like how to heal your body. She has a few, but like how to heal your body, and a huge portion of it is just going through all of these different things you can experience in your body, from like pimples to like every individual part of your spine, and like the emotional thing that's most likely going on, and then like a mantra to kind of help move and shift that through.
Totally.
And some people laugh when I say that, and I'm like, hey y'all, but I write those down on sticky notes and I put them on my mirror, and 100% things shift and it works. So
yeah. Oh, absolutely. And for me, it's been Anatomy of Spirit by Myss, Biofield Tuning by Eileen Day Mckusick. and then Swamplands of the Soul by James Hollis.
Whoa.
Like those 3 books have helped me really like I wouldn't say architect a map, but they've provided a map and context for how I might be experiencing myself in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know that if let's say that something is occurring in life that's difficult to digest, like maybe I'll be getting a stomach ache. So if I'm receiving an input and then I'm noticing energy in my stomach, I'm like, okay, what about this might be hard to
To
digest?
digest.
Or if I am experiencing like an ache in my chest on the left side, I'm like, okay, left side is feminine, heart. All right, what kind of symbolic anger am I holding towards my mom?
Mm.
Or what kind of grief am I not letting
Mm.
through?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm experiencing a pain in my right knee, it's like, okay, yeah, I actually am feeling pretty stuck. I'm not moving forward towards a goal with like personal power fully on board.
Mm-hmm.
If I have a headache, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe I have been thinking about the future way too much.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe I've just been in my thinking mind too much.
Yeah.
And what am I thinking about? Well, maybe those are things that I'm angry
Mm-hmm.
about or like feeling hatred towards.
Mm-hmm.
And so the body really does speak. And if you're like me, like I learned to ignore my body. Like
I have no
in
idea what
order
that's
for
like.
us
What do you
to
mean?
in order for us to survive childhood, in order us to like create safety, right? We have to modulate our personalities and then generate maladaptive behavior in order to get what we need.
Yeah.
And
To
so
feel safe.
to feel safe, which is
Yeah. We
safety, love, and
manipulate to
belonging.
feel safe, and that's not.
Love, safety, and belonging.
Yep.
That's all we needed. And to get that, we had to like kind of sidestep and modulate and maladapt and kind of like put this false self mask on in order to be a part of something.
Put your body to the side, like, oh, you have
Right.
pain there. Let me just give you
Let
an
me just
Advil
shove
for
it
it. Yeah,
down.
just shove it down, repress, depress it. It's
Right.
just like forget about what your body's actually telling you. And it's just like,
Totally.
no. So we're in a period of time where we're starting to reclaim that through
Mhm.
different bodies and areas of work, which is why it's so wonderful what you do and what I do is like bringing people back into that space. And like as it's been a journey for you, it's been a journey for me of like being able to be in an experience like I was just last week. I mean, I just moved, but also like this happened a few days after that where like my whole lower back just went out. I was just walking around my room
Yeah.
and it just went out. And it was whispering to me a little bit before that when I was like dancing at a show. It was like hurting. And I was like, okay, it's fine. Just stretch. It'll be great. But I did not do that. I did not listen to it or care for it or whatever. But then like immediately when it went out, which is like, that's never happened to me in my whole entire life
Yeah.
before. Like I've had back pain, but not to the point where I was like, oh, I can't stand up straight right now. Immediately I was like, where do I feel lack of support?
Yeah.
Like my brain automatically went to that space of like, and I looked up in, in the books and stuff that I use as references. And I was like, oh yeah, where am I feeling like financially unstable and like all these, it's your body is a mirror of what is going on in your external world, which is why it's so important to listen here because it is going to give us the signals. And when we have the resources, like the different books and things that exist that people who have been studying this for ages have been able to bring through, it's like, those are there for a reason. And when you can draw on that information to help us navigate what we're experiencing in our body instead of making our body wrong or and judging it and like shoving pills in it to try to push everything away. It's like, okay, how can I actually work with this? And like, yeah, you're going to have to move through a level of discomfort, but it's also like, would you rather have that feeling of discomfort for like a day or a few hours or a few days, or would you rather have that extended on for years because you're pumping chemicals into your system, or like what would happen if you actually just deeply listened to it or went to a practitioner that can like help you navigate the emotional stuff that you're going through so that you can learn to listen to your body because that's like what you and I are doing in our own ways is like encouraging people to get to the space of like can you listen to your inner landscape and what tools and techniques are useful for you in that space so that you can navigate through and return back to yourself and then choose how to create your life from there and how to show up to the collective from there.
And that's where you get on that upward spiral. So like So the question that one might be asking is like, well, how do I navigate my inner landscape? How do I communicate with my body? And so in these moments of breakdown, like this is where I've really just created the sanctuary space. It's a journaling practice, it's a self-reflection practice. It's where you can sit down at the altar and check in with yourself deeply with intention and with clarity. And so first you want to recognize like what like deep edge of growth am I at right now? And that's going to show up in your like physically, right? So like perhaps moving brought you to the edge of growth that contributed to your lower
I'm
back
definitely
pain.
at an edge right now.
Yeah.
For
So
sure.
yeah, super edgy.
Super edgy.
Super edgy. So that could be physically, mentally, spiritually, relationally, and vocationally.
Yeah.
And vocation, like what's different about vocation and its kind of relationship with entrepreneurship and the difference between a vocation and a job, like a vocation is a self-created path. A vocation is where we can find ourselves making offerings to the world according to the gifts that we have to share from our life experience. It's the medicine that we created for ourselves that we now get to share with the world.
And from alignment, not from force.
From alignment, from center, yeah, with ease, even if it's scary or difficult.
Yeah.
Versus a job where it's like you tell them that I have these skills, you're a match, then you start to trade your time for money for as long as that can last before it starts draining you. So there are those, 5 like domains, those 5 areas of life. And that's just a way to organize your awareness of what's happening and where it's happening. Otherwise, like a part of what makes it overwhelming is that just a lot is happening at once. And whether you're aware of it or not, like you're always participating in life with your mind, with your spirituality, in relationship, through your body, with a way to make money. So once you locate what deep edge of growth you're at, then just give some words. You don't have to try to like write down everything that's happening. Just like recognize the edge of growth and then just like list out some words and thoughts, which helps you like be in the practice of letting your body communicate to you through a word, like tension, discomfort, frustration, aggravation, fear, or even just like a sentence. You'll just start to know, you'll start to notice they pop up. Then once you have those words and thoughts down, then you can say, well, what challenges am I experiencing? Like, and those words will start to inform context, right? Those words are some of the contents and they give you access to some of the context, which it just naturally occurs, right? Now you're aware of where you're at. Now you're aware of what's going on or what it feels like. And now you can start unpacking what it feels like. And as you start unpacking what it feels like, well, what is that impacting? What is that impacting?
Yeah. Your relationships, your business, your sleep, your food, your digestion. Yeah. All your relationships. Yeah.
Right. And then like what else is that impacting? And as you move through this process, like what's going to start to happen somatically is that energy starts to organize in a place. And as that energy organizes in a place, it's like, where is it? You can write down where it is. And now that you're aware, like, here's where energy is gathering in my body somatically. Here's what's happening. Now, what song is really resonating with you? So now, like, we've really illuminated your life. We've illuminated the space that is otherwise a little bit mysterious and perhaps dark. Not dark in the way that it feels evil or malicious or malevolent. It's just dark in the way like there's no light in the room. So now like you've got awareness.
Shedding light through what you're doing.
Exactly.
Shedding light onto that darkness, which can like be a little, is illuminating and sometimes a little challenging to see those things that have been in the shadows.
Exactly.
And when you can do that in a safe space with someone that's there to help you, it allows for a different type of navigation
Right.
within that space. You can go a little bit deeper than maybe you could go on your own because you do have support and
Exactly.
yeah.
And it allows you, even if you're in like a self practice where you're not in a facilitated space, like this is how you create safety with yourself.
Mhm.
Because if you're the type of person, again, who has a complex childhood or maybe you're the type of person that doesn't remember childhood very much. Like for me, like my
Me.
my my
I was like,
siblings
"That's
have made
me."
jokes the whole way. It's like, don't ask Brady because
Oh,
he's
yeah.
not going to know.
Yeah, people ask me all the I even had a
Yeah,
therapist one time ask me, she's like, "Well, do you have a good memory with this person?" And I was like, "Honestly, I'm sure there are some.
yeah.
I just don't know,
And there
truly."
are, and
There
there are,
totally are, I know that, but,
and
like,
it's
I don't know that, like,
totally. Oh man.
I can trust that that exists,
Oh
but my
yeah.
brain cannot come up with a memory of a situation.
Mhm. And this is how your body informs your brain. In our culture, where we, you know, started school in kindergarten, moved through grade school, high school, go to college. It's all just like brain, 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 left brain, left brain, left
Yeah.
brain. Disconnect from the body, except for the 20 minutes we have at
Gym.
recess or
Yeah.
gym. And so this really is like, if you decide to change your life, transform yourself, have a new experience, life becomes a bit of a mystery. And as you press into the mystery of having a new experience in life as a new version of yourself, the mystery of life is going to elicit responses from the body which introduce you to the mystery of you.
Mm.
And the mystery, it's like MYSTERY. The
Mhm.
mystery elicits my story.
Mm.
Mystery, my story. So as you move forward the mystery of life, you're also moving into the mystery of yourself. And this process allows you to have a body centric, like have open a line of communication from your body to your brain,
Mm.
which helps you to remember, maybe not objectively,
Mhm.
right? Because we can't, we, you know, it's said that healing is 98% imaginal. And we don't remember things the way they happened. We remember them
For how they feel.
the way we remembered them last. Like we remember them,
Okay.
we remember what happened based on the last time we remembered it.
Yeah.
So like it is this kind of, the story starts to modulate. It's like a
Mm.
game of telephone with ourselves. So eventually the message starts to change,
Mhm.
or the memory starts to change. But anyways, like this practice, it's like if you don't know how to navigate your inner landscape or relate with yourself emotionally, I didn't. Like at one point, I actually thought that I was broken, and I just
Same.
started reading about emotions. I just
Yeah.
started educating myself about what emotion is and what kind of emotions there are and what each one is like, which is why like Swamplands of the Soul was so supportive for me.
Mm.
Because like in that book, I learned, anger is like this three-headed dog of not enoughness, too muchness, and self-hate, because you're not enough or too much or both.
Wow.
So I started to learn about why, like how anger was within me. It's like, of course I was too much for a man that wasn't my father, and of course I was not
Yeah.
enough for my family that was lying to me,
Yeah.
right? So like it's this practice allows you to sit down, create sanctuary for yourself inside of what's happening, and then learn the language of your body
Mm.
slowly over time.
Mhm.
And what I've observed, like 99% of the time, every time, there is something about the song that is deeply archetypal or symbolic,
Mm.
that is a direct reflection of what's happening in life and with the individual that they didn't recognize.
Hmm.
And so what I've heard the whole way is like, I thought I just liked that. I thought I just liked that song. It's like you do.
You
You
do,
like the song. You
but
love
it
the song,
resonates
but it resonates with
for a reason.
it's resonating with this, like with this 5-year-old part of you, with
Wow.
this 12-year-old part of you. Like if you're listening to just this, like one of my most profound sessions was with a woman who was very lonely and neglected, like as an infant toddler.
Mm,
And she was moving through something in her life that was reflective of what her mom was actually experiencing
mm.
while
Well, she was, like, in
while she was
utero
young.
or oh, okay.
Yeah, very young. And of course, that led to utero. And oftentimes, if you're having trouble birthing something into the world, a great place to look is what was happening to your mom while she was pregnant with you.
That's a great question for me right now.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Yeah.
was like,
Ding
"That was
ding.
meant for me."
Yeah.
Okay.
Ding ding. So like, so the song that she brought to session was a deeply just like motherly, like deep holding, deeply soothing
Mm.
song because it was soothing her infant
Mm,
prenatal part. Um,
mm,
so it's just these, ultimately these songs. And I'm so grateful for a conversation I had with a friend that really unlocked this, but these songs become like coordinates to like where you are, the part
mhm,
of you that is stuck in time.
mm.
That's going to be your prenatal infant self, your toddler self, your adolescent self.
Yeah.
Maybe it's you last year, which
Mhm.
is going to open up the door to adolescent, which opens up the door to
Yeah.
child, right?
Mhm.
um, and it's also learning, if energy is gathering in your body, it's like you are also allowed to ask, is this mine or is this not mine?
Mhm.
Because oftentimes this stuff, it is intergenerational, it's
Yeah,
multi-generational,
and most of the
and
time it's not ours, and even
a
being
lot of
able
the
to
time it's
discern,
not.
like, what's heavy is never ours, so if you can even just be in the moment what I love so much about the energy work that I do, Access Consciousness, is, like, it's all about living in question, so if in the moment you can be like, "Is this mine? Who does this belong to?
Mhm.
Okay, return to sender." And if you get a heaviness when you're asking those questions, it's like you don't even always necessarily need to know exactly what's going on to know that it's not yours. And that's,
Yeah.
I feel like, a part of where we get stuck a lot of the times. It's like, okay, there's something here. I need to, like, unpack it and, like, do all this therapy is amazing and go do all this therapy about it. And it's like we don't. What I've learned on my journey is, like, all of that is helpful, and sometimes we get so stuck in the story, and so it's like, can you actually just acknowledge that whatever it is just isn't yours,
Mhm.
and know that you don't need to know what that is in order to just, like, release it
Mhm.
and let it go
Yeah.
and return it to sender with so much love and consciousness, but also just, like, recognize that you don't have to hold that anymore and that it's not yours, and, like, return back to the lightness that is
Mhm.
you and continue to follow what feels light
Mhm.
in your life, and anything that's not in that vibrational frequency, that it's okay to just, like, release it and let it go without having to know exactly what it is or exactly where it came from, or, like,
Yeah, man. Yeah,
like, to heal, we don't always have to know the stories or the origins or whatever it
no.
is, but
And when you can create enough awareness of what the energy feels like, you can just experience sadness.
yeah,
You can just
yeah.
experience rage.
Well, and that's
You
what
can
it
just
is, like,
experience whatever there is, for as long as it needs to last.
yeah.
And sometimes, like, and this is where like the work is delicate, right? Because sometimes, like, you have to go into the story in order to
Mhm.
have the experience.
Yeah,
And
but not
sometimes it's
identify
not
with it, though.
necessary to go into the story
Yeah.
and just have the experience. Like you get to a place where like you it's a very fluid experience of energy, you know.
Mhm.
Um,
Which takes practice
it
and
does. It
patience.
does. It
Because
does.
now I shouldn't say most of the time, but, like, now I get to be in these experiences of, like, feeling frustrated or sad, and, like, when I allow myself the spaciousness to just let those feelings be what they are, it actually moves through so much quicker than it ever
Yeah.
would in the past. Because in the past, I would feel it and I would let it take over my entire day and, like, control my schedule because I was feeling something, and I would go into the story or into the and be like, "Oh, I feel it." Like, it's like, "Yeah, okay, can you just give yourself some time?" And then it moves through in whatever form it needs to move through, and then it
Exactly.
it moves.
Yeah. And
I don't get stuck in it
exactly.
anymore, and,
It's
like, I can recognize if it's lasting for an extended period of time, I'm like, "Oh, like, I am allowing myself to get stuck here. I really don't want to feel stuck." So, like, and sometimes I can navigate through on my own, and sometimes I call and I reach out to friends, and I'm just like, "I don't know what's going on right now, but, like, I'm stuck,
right.
and I need help."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's going on for an extended period of time, that you're likely choosing it And that's a part of why I love to ask like what song is on repeat. Because if you're in an experience like of sadness or something, and the music is like generating that feeling, now you're in a loop. Now
Yeah,
you're
it's like we're
choosing to
perpetuating our own
entertain
pain,
how you
right?
feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so when you can realize this is how I feel, music has been on repeat that helps me feel this way, which isn't always helpful.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Then you can kind of notice what about the song is causing you or helping you to feel when you're in the experience of not processing it. Because you can feel without processing. The key is to feel and process so that you can move through it.
Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, you really are just entertaining an emotion and looping in emotion.
Yeah. And I think sometimes, like, at least my experience is like, oh, by staying in this loop, I'm healing it. But now, as you're saying that, I'm like thinking about times in the past where I'm like, no, I just kept myself in a loop, but I didn't have the awareness at that time to recognize that that's what I was doing. I was just like, oh, I'm listening to this song over and over again. And there are moments where it's like, it's definitely helpful, like you said, and there's moments where it just becomes a point where you're perpetuating your own pain and you're continuing to choose that.
And a great question to ask is, how is this serving me to perpetuate the pain? How is this serving me to loop? Because it is serving. It's serving something.
You're choosing it
which
for a
is
reason.
likely some form of protection from what happens after you're done feeling or after, whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah. Big conversation.
That was a doozy.
Doozy.
There were a couple times in there. Yeah. There were a couple times in there where I was like, I just, you recognize how deep you are and kind of how heavy it is. And I just want to congratulate us and the listener.
Yeah. We're sticking with it.
Yeah.
We're doing great.
Because it is a heavy topic, and I've a part of my work is to counterbalance it. Evolving, it is a lot of work, and it's a lot of scary work, and it's also a lot of really beautiful, like joyful, light work.
Yeah.
There's that, it's that too.
You get to celebrate in it too, which is a huge part.
Yeah. And that's what I'm really excited for. Episode 2 is, we've really set the table. You are aware of kind of what we're going to be doing. Now we're going to go do it.
Yeah.
And then after that occurs, like an experience of life is going to open up that it's going to be less heavy. It's going to be less edgy until it gets edgy again, because we're evolutionary beings, because that's what we do. But yeah, it's always fun to make it through the other side and have a new experience that is spacious, that is light, that is creative and exciting, and all these beautiful qualities that evolution also carries. It's not always painful. It's not always ugly. It's not always hard.
You get to play and have joy and have fun, and yeah. Oh, I'm so excited.
Yes, me too.
Well, I do have a question I'm going to ask you, but I want to, before I just want to give it context, because have you ever seen these cards before?
The and.
It's created by I think the company, it's a media company called The Skin Deep. And so I think I saw it, and it was on Instagram, right? I get targeted Instagram things all the time. But basically they created these cards, and there's a lot of different editions. And this is the amusing edition. But they have like a couples edition and a dating edition and a family edition. They've got like a lot of different ones.
Okay.
And what they would put out on Instagram was just so beautiful, because the whole, I'll read the back of it. It's an Emmy award-winning experience that explores relationships by creating the space for honest communication and deep listening. The and facilitates an environment for vulnerability, more meaningful moments, and stronger understanding for one another by making challenging conversations easy and fun. Perfect to play with friends, family, and partners. The intention of these cards are to offer mind-bending questions and prompts to facilitate creative connections in a new and amusing way. And so, which I love. That's such a beautiful intention. And their Instagram is great, because they would have 2 people sit in front of each other. And I think that's what you're supposed to do, is just sit like a foot away from each other. And then you pull the card, and each question is meant to be asked, but you don't have to respond. And I think if I remember when I was reading it correctly, is like if the other person doesn't want to respond, you give space and you just look in each other's eyes and let that person be witness, and just know that like maybe that's uncomfortable for them to respond to, but still give it space instead of just moving on to the next one, which is really cool. But the Instagram is beautiful, and so I highly recommend checking it out. I got so enthralled by it, and I would like just look at all the conversation reels that they would put up there, because people would get emotional, and it was really beautiful to see like the connection that it cultivated. But the card that I just pulled is so appropriate. What's your favorite sound and why?
What's instantly coming up? Okay, so when I'm out in nature, hiking, or I'm gonna say otherwise, but like being out in nature is being out in nature. If there's a body of water or a flowing body of water, what I really love to do is find the pocket of space where the water's not rushing, but it's also not still. There's the part of the river where it might be navigating its way through, maybe fallen branches, little rocks, uneven terrain. And it has like a trickling sound. Like it's a trickling sound that's also in flow. And what I love doing is I will sit facing it, and I'll close my eyes and I'll keep my eyes closed for as long as it takes for my environment to drift from my awareness. So now I'm not in a forest anymore. I'm just in space. And in that space, I hear the water. And what I'll do is I'll receive the sound from straight ahead for a minute or for however long. And then I'll just give my head a rotation to one side. And then I'll hear a little bit more of what's out here. Not what's directly in front of me, but what's more off in the direction that I've turned my head to. And I'll sit there for a minute, and then I'll start to like let in what was right in front of me with what is now over here. And then I will turn my head to the other side. And then I'll hear a little bit more of what's over here. And as I hear what is off in this direction, I'll start to put it together with what was in the center and what was off in the other side. And then I'll turn my head back center, and all of a sudden I've got this panoramic sound of the river. In space, it's my absolute favorite. Like my whole head is lighting up right now with chills. It's just like there's something so potent about panoramic listening to water at the part of the river that it's calmly moving through what it's moving through, that it brings such a centeredness to my being and to my energy that I have not experienced anywhere else.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I was like, I love listening to a river too, but I don't listen to it like that. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that brings a whole different experience into that.
Try it on, really, because we're aware of what we're focused on. And if we're focused on hearing what's right in front of us, we might not hear as much of what's over here or as much of what's over here. And then another really beautiful thing to hear in a different way is, let's say we are in a forest, like whether you're by the river or not, is to sit down again, close your eyes, and then send your awareness up to the top of the trees. And then just recognize like where the wind is coming from. And then you'll notice like you might hear it in close proximity to where you are. But then if you can open your awareness to the space around where you are, and then maybe a little bit farther, like you're going to hear the wind start from farther away and then move towards you. And it becomes a new experience of wind, which at the top of trees happens to sound like rushing water, in the river. And when you bridge that connection. It's just it's a fun game to play, but it's also just a really fun way to listen.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that you gave those two examples because those are two of my favorite sounds when I was reading that question. I was like, oh, the
Water
wind
and
blowing
wind.
through the trees and the water, like a babbling brook. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just you get to relate with how it moves.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And then you can take it to another level and whisper to the wind and let it carry the message to wherever it's going.
Magic. Vocal alchemist for sure.
Vibrational vocal alchemy.
Vibrational alchemy. Yeah. Well, thank you for being here.
You're
Thanks
welcome.
for this conversation and sparking it.
Totally. Yeah. It was one of those things I observed for a couple days. It's like, that
feels right.
I need to send it.
Yeah.
So thanks for having me and thanks for dropping in and getting here.
Yeah, of course. Is there anything else you want to share about what you do? We'll put all the links to where to find you, how to work with you in the show notes.
Yep.
Is there anything else you want to share about what you do, how you be, what you output into this world?
No, I think we really covered quite a bit of it.
Yeah, well, and I mean, you'll be back next week, so it won't be long.
Yeah, we'll unpack the more that there is in the integration portion.
Very excited for part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, to experience your magic in person, one-on-one. Cool. Hey, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you so much. We did it.
Thanks for listening to part 1, everybody.
Yeah, episode 1 of season 2. The Lightness of Being podcast. Yay, grateful.
See you soon.
See you soon.